Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this thankless interview. Now, the Israeli cabinet's approval of a ceasefire deal with Hamas marks a critical turning point in a 15-month-old war with Gaza. The anticipated ceasefire in the latest war faced delays as hostilities continue past the scheduled time, with reports of casualties and dispute over the hostage list. Amidst escalating tension and uncertainty about the implementation, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza deepens. What are the broader implications for peace and stability in the region? Well, joining us today on TVP World to analyze the unfolding situation is Bálint Bartha, a lecturer at the International Business School of Budapest. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, and thanks for having me.
So before we dive into this discussion, let's take a look at our report to find out what's the latest situation.
As of this morning, Hamas has not fulfilled its obligations. Contrary to the agreement, the State of Israel has not yet received the names of the returning female hostages. Following the directive of the Prime Minister, the ceasefire will not take effect as long as Hamas fails to meet its obligations. The IDF continues to strike even now within the Gaza area, as long as Hamas does not fulfill its commitments under the agreement.
So now the two sides are accusing each other essentially of pulling out or changing their terms and conditions last minute. But what do we actually know about both sides of these the discussion?
So what we know about the ceasefire that it is very fragile, and it's developing how it's developed in the history. So the mistrust and the root causes are not affected by the ceasefire. So the ceasefire is really fragile. Mm-hmm. So Hamas issued that they have some technical issues regarding the access to the refugees, and this shows that how complicated is the situation. So we don't know the whereabouts about the refugees. Our expectation is that they are in some tunnels or hiding in tunnels in the Gaza Strip, and most probably the Hamas don't have access to the IDF controlled area. So those technical issues probably that they don't have access to the hostages, and we don't know whether they arrive or not. So this is very, very complicated, and this could be the technical issue. The other problem is that we don't know whether is these refugees in the captive of the Hamas or the Islamic Jihad, and this shows that how complicated is the situation if we're talking about the controlling of the Gaza area, because Hamas is not the only one who are in charge and not the only sovereign authority in the Gaza Strip. So this is very complicated, and I would say this is very unexpected, given the fact that in the week the Qatari Prime Minister said and talked about the ceasefire they are working on since 2023 December. So this ceasefire is very well developed and talked about very much with the external actors like Qatar, Iran, and the other actors, and of course as the United States. But so far it looks like that the Hamas is very weak and not controlling the situation.
Right, like you said, perhaps this is an underpinning of a larger situation and the distrust between the two sides that perhaps just a mere ceasefire agreement won't be able to patch over. Should it actually come into effect, do you think that this would actually shift the dynamics between the two in any substantial kind of way? Or, like you mentioned, perhaps this is an indication of no goodwill on either side to actually come to the table?
Yeah, so my expectation was on Wednesday that this ceasefire could evolve, and the timing was perfect, given the fact that the inauguration of Donald Trump's will be on Monday, and this was like a perfect timing to have a ceasefire and to initiate a broader peace process in the Gaza area and for the West Bank, of course. But what is really important that there are they are not anonymously supported by the Israeli government as well. So the Israeli government voted after the first vote was postponed because there are some dispute over this ceasefire in the Israeli government too, and of course in the society. So there were protests, pro and contra, against the ceasefire later this week. So that doesn't mean that everyone's interest is the ceasefire. So remember, so after the October 7th attack, terrorist attack against Israel in 2023, where 1,200 people died in those attacks, the Israeli government said that they would fight against Hamas until the hostages are back to Israel. And the Hamas abducted 250 hostages, and some of them are not alive today. And the second aim was to demolish the Hamas. Of course, it doesn't happen. Hamas is very weak, given the fact that the Israeli army killed some of its soldiers and the head of the Hamas, of course. But so far, Israel and the Israeli army hadn't reached their goal.
Right, and we have a very current update right now that Israeli minister, well, 3 of them actually has resigned because of the fallout of the ceasefire deal. Do you think that this ceasefire deal not materializing is going to have a strong effect within the Israeli government? Can we see eventually like a collapse of the cabinet?
Yes, this was the situation. So Benjamin Netanyahu reached a deal in the government. The far-right party of the government resigned because of the deal. So this caused not just international but domestic problems to Israel as well.
Like you mentioned, there was some opposition from the hardliners of the Israeli cabinet that opposes the ceasefire. Is that going to affect the implementation? Do they actually have strong enough say when it comes to these policies? So what we don't know, so until the ceasefire started like an hour ago, that we expected that the phase 1 of the ceasefire will go over, and this phase 1 is lasting for 6 weeks, 42 days, and the Hamas should hand over the hostages, and also the Israelis has to hand over almost 2,000 prisoners towards the Hamas, But Joe Biden said that this ceasefire is so complicated that they most probably need more time to negotiate for the second phase, because the second phase contains that the Israeli army will withdraw from the Gaza Strip totally, and handing over some more prisoners, even then. Some of them are serving lifetime in sentence. So Benjamin Netanyahu addressed that that will be hard talks, and they are maintaining the right to attack terrorists and terrorist groups in the Gaza Strip. All right. How much of it do you think is pretty much slapping a Band-Aid on a huge gushing wound? Because we are looking at this phased approach, but judging by any sort of historical experience, these sort of phased approach to any ceasefire or any agreement never really get into phase 2. They sign phase 1 and it seems like nobody really pursues anything following up. So do you think this also ceasefire talk right now is just something on a surface level to patch things up, make it not look so bad, but there's probably still things that needs to be resolved and the tension is still going to continue to simmer?
Yeah, I think this is more of the Hamas interest to have this tactical pause on this war, because they are very weak right now, and also Iran's interest. And as we see in Syria, that there is a new front opened towards Israel. So Israel is having like four fronts right now. They have Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, Syria, and also the Yemeni Houthis are attacking Israeli interests. So Of course, the Hamas needs this tactical pause, but also Israel. But as we see in the government and in the Israeli society, this is not a certain thing and not anonymously supported.
Right now, we do have another update. Some of the media are saying that they have received a list of hostages, according to some of the Reuters sources. Now, do you think that this development will start changing things in the direction of actually getting closer to a ceasefire?
Yeah, I hope so. So definitely for the phase one. But what is really serious, you don't know that, and fragile, that can we go to the phase second or the phase three? From the latest development, what is really important is that the Gaza Strip is right now is a war zone. So there is like no one taking care of the rubbish, of the hospital service. So there is like no governmental service in that area. So in order to get into the development session of this or the phase of this ceasefire, we have to reach the level 3, phase 3 in the ceasefire. And I think this is a big question, that what will happen in the Israeli government, and can they agree on the phase second prisoners giving back situation.
Right, and we have a new reporting coming out saying that the Hamas armed wing spokesperson also released 3 names of the hostages that's going to be involved. Are we seeing finally Hamas trying to come to the table and continue this discussion?
Yes, I think yes. This is the Hamas interest, and they have to provide the names, and I think the Hamas will do that and will cooperate in order to have this tactical pause on the war and gather some more strength.
No, even though Hamas has said that they are releasing these names and international media has been echoing the same, the Israeli side is now saying that they haven't gotten the list yet. How much of it is perhaps Hamas trying to play into while using the international media to pressure the Israeli side to come into discussion?
Yeah, this is the usual tactic what terrorist groups are using. So they are gaining some trust, and of course this topic has at least 2 sides, that the pro-Israeli sides and the pro-Hamas side, and if they have some technical issues, right, what they expected and what they said earlier, and I think they are just gaining some more time to solve this. But I think they are trying to solve this with the help of their supporters, of course.
Mm. Right, like you mentioned, there's discussions are still ongoing. This is a very dynamic situation, and thank you so much for coming to help us unpack all of this and helping us react to these most recent developments. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. And thank you for watching this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.